What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel. We continue here with my 2024 predictions for the upcoming 2024 college football season. The Arizona Wildcats are up next. Arizona coming off a great year last year in 2023 in their final year, of course, in the Pac-12. Winning 10 games, they went 10-3 last year and definitely surprised a lot of people, including myself. My thoughts on this team, though, as they head to the Big 12 for 2024. I mean, you look at the offensive side of the football, they do have a good amount of production coming back there on the offensive side of the football. You got your starting quarterback returning from last year. And then defensively, you do lose quite a bit of players, quite a bit of talented players there. The defense might take a step back from where they were the year before. And they also have a new head coach. Arizona did lose, Jed Fish and everything. So this is like a new coaching era here for this Arizona football program. But definitely not definitely not like a rebuild for the program. So I think Arizona still overall should be pretty good. And they're definitely an experienced roster as well. So let's now get to the schedule here for 2024. This is the schedule here for Arizona. Again, they were 10-3 last year in 2023. So let's go game by game now and give you a record prediction here for the Arizona Wildcats for 2024. They start off with a couple of cupcake games here on August 31st and September 7th. They'll play New Mexico in week 1, and then they play Northern Arizona here in week number 2. Arizona, I think, will take care of business in both of those games. You obviously got a new head coach and everything, so I think they'll definitely get used to him in these first 2 games of the season. So I got Arizona starting out easily at 2-0 here as they go into week number 3. They play Kansas State here on the road on September 14th. Keep in mind, this is not counted as a Big 12 conference game. It's counted as a non-conference game. Just like with Utah and Baylor from last year, this game actually was scheduled as a non-conference game before Arizona became officially a member of the Big 12. So this is a non-conference game. It doesn't really count as the records here for the Big 12 conference. You look at Kansas State, though, I think this team is going to be pretty good. I think they're going to have a really good defense. So, this is a very tough place to play as well, especially just for a non-conference game for Arizona. First-year head coach, obviously, a brand new, head coach and everything, going on the road for the first time as well. But I think Arizona will be competitive in this game. I think it probably goes into the fourth quarter here, to be honest. I think Arizona is going to be really that competitive this year. End of the day, though, home field advantage does favor Kansas State. They're well coached and everything. So I think the Wildcats, or actually, both of the Wildcats here. It's a battle of the Wildcats here between these two teams. I'm going to go with Kansas State, though, here, just because they're playing at home. So I think Kansas State gives Arizona their first loss here of the season. So that puts their record now here at 2-1, and then after that they get their first bye week here of the season before officially playing their first Big 12 game on the road here at Utah on September 28th. This is going to be a really tricky game. You got back-to-back road games here with Kansas State and Utah. 2 very tough back-to-back road games here in the early part of the season, but you get a bye week in between those 2 games. I think this will be a very competitive game against Utah. Utah, though, a lot of experience coming back. They're definitely the more talented team as well. You got Cam Rising coming back as well. I think this will be a very competitive game, but at the end of the day, though, Utah is definitely clearly the more talented team here in this one. I'm going to go with the Utes here to pull off the win here, and I think they give Arizona their second loss here of the season. So that's back-to-back losses here for Arizona. Not a good start to the season, but then they play at home against Texas Tech here on October the 5th as they go into the month of October. I think Texas Tech will be a pretty solid team. They usually are really consistent in the Big 12 and everything, even though they didn't really have their best year last year, but I think they'll definitely be a consistent team and definitely a very competitive team as well. Arizona, though, is playing at home in this one. Home field advantage will favor the difference in this one. I think it's a pretty even matchup between these 2 teams. And when it comes to the Big 12, a lot of these games are going to be really competitive, and a lot of these teams are going to beat up on each other. But I think Arizona definitely playing at home after back-to-back losses. They come out really fired up and definitely want to get a win here in their first year in the Big 12. So I think Arizona does beat Texas Tech here for their first official win in the Big 12, and that puts their record here at 3-2. And then after that is a road game against BYU here on October 12th. Looking at this BYU team, I'm not really that high on them this year, but, they could be a little bit better. You never know about BYU. They could be really consistent as a team as well. Arizona, though, is definitely the more, talented team here, and definitely the more experienced team as well. BYU doesn't have, a lot of production coming back, but I think they'll be a little bit better this year and definitely more competitive in their second year in the Big 12 and everything, so I think this is a very competitive game. I'm going to go with Arizona here to knock off BYU here on the road. Again, Arizona has the more experienced team and definitely probably the more talented team as well, even though I think both of these teams are pretty even. So I think Arizona does beat BYU here, so they get back-to-back wins here in the Big 12, and that puts their record now at 4-2. Next game is at home against Colorado on October 19th. This is going to be a really good game. I mean, Colorado obviously going to be really good this year. I think they'll be a little bit more better. I mean, offensively, I think they're going to be really good, and then defensively, you do have some question marks about Colorado's defense, but maybe they'll be a little bit better as well. Both of these teams are well experienced. They both have really good amount of production coming back on both sides of the football, but Arizona, they're playing at home in this one. It is a really close game, a very competitive game, but at the end of the day, home field advantage will favor the difference in this one, and I'm going to go with the Wildcats here to knock off Colorado, so I got Arizona now improving to 5-2, and then after that, they'll play at home against West Virginia here on October 26th. West Virginia, also another veteran experienced team. They have a lot of production coming back on the offensive side of the football, and then defensively, you do have some question marks about the Mountaineers. I think this will be a very competitive game like all the Big 12 games are going to be this year. But, Arizona, again, playing at home in this one, that does favor them a little bit here in this one. So I'm going to go with Arizona here to knock off West Virginia. And that's also a close game. I'm going to go with Arizona here just because they're playing at home. So that's 4 wins in a row. They win all their games here in the month of October. And after that, that puts their record now here at 6-2. And then after that, they go into the month of November. They play on the road here at UCF on November 2nd. UCF might take a bit of a step back from where they were the year before. They were a well-experienced team last year, but I think Arizona definitely, they will be very competitive in this game, and also UCF will be very competitive. Don't get me wrong. I think UCF and BYU could be two teams in the Big 12 that might be a little bit improved this year, but UCF, I think, playing at home, this is one of those upset alert type games in the month of November. Arizona probably like the front runner in the Big 12. Maybe UCF pulls off a shocker in this one, and that's what I'm going to go with. I think UCF pulls off an upset here. I'm going to go with the Knights here to knock off Arizona and give Arizona their third loss here of the season, so that puts Arizona's record now here at 6-3. They get their second bye week here of the season before playing at home against Houston here on November 16th. Not really that high on the Cougars this year. I think Arizona will take care of business in this one. I don't really expect a close game, especially coming out of the bye week as well, and I think Arizona will be fired up in this game just after the loss to UCF. So I think Arizona does beat Houston here, and that puts their record now at 7-3. And then after that, they'll play on the road here at TCU on November 23rd. I think TCU is going to be a little bit better this year. I mean, obviously 5-7 year for them last year after they went to the national championship game a couple years ago. This is one of the most consistent teams, it seems like, in the Big 12 out of all the other teams in the Big 12, like, for example, maybe like Texas Tech and then also Kansas as well. So I think TCU is right there for the most consistent programs in the Big 12. This is a very tough game. It's a very tough game on the road here at TCU. It's a very tough place to play. I kind of been back and forth on this game, and like I said, I think TCU will be a lot better this year. The defense of TCU should be really good for them as well. So with that being said, tough place to play. Home game here for TCU in a 50-50 type game. I'm going to go with the Horned Frogs here to pull off the win. I wouldn't really call it an upset, to be honest, but I got them giving Arizona their fourth loss here of the season, so that puts Arizona's record now here at 7-4. And then the final game, of course, of the season is at home against Arizona State on November 30th. Obviously, a rivalry game. You never know what can happen. It seems like Arizona is going to dominate the series as of late these days. I don't really know what to expect here from Arizona State, second-year head coach for them. This could be probably a competitive game just because it's a rivalry and everything, but I'm not really that high on the Sun Devils this year, so I don't really know if I expect this game to be close. Maybe it's close for a little while in the first half, but maybe second half Arizona probably pulls away. And I think the Wildcats are definitely the better team more than the Sun Devils are, so With that being said, I think Arizona probably pulls away here in the second half, and I think they do beat their rival here, Arizona State, here at the end of the season on November 30th. So my official prediction here for Arizona for 2024 is 8-4, heading into their first year in the Big 12 Conference with a new head coach and everything. So yeah, this Arizona team will look a lot different, but it seems like they do have a good amount of production coming back. I still think they'll be really good for them, just a little bit of a step back year from where they were last year in the Pac-12 and everything, but this is not like a bad schedule. They do play Kansas State and Utah both on the road, not in back-to-back weeks, but they get a bye week in between those two road games. I think they'll be very competitive in both of those games, though. And then you got UCF here on the road. I definitely could probably see them winning that game and possibly getting to 9-3. And what if they go 10-2? What if they go 10-2 again, or maybe like 9-3 again after last year? That would definitely not be a shocker to me for Arizona. And this is also a team that probably could make the college football playoff as well. So let me guys know what you think about this Arizona team down in the comments below. What do you think their record will be for 2024? Thanks for watching this video, and stay tuned here for more sports content videos on my Lucas Ross Sports Channel.